Hello everyone, today, why do I say today? They've seen the thumbnail, there's title, I don't even know what I'm going to call this. Today is, I guess you'd just call it a little bit of a channel update. I was reminded about one kind of, it's a big deal to me. It might mean something to you that come to the channel regularly, but so I sponsor FPV Outreach, which if you're not familiar is a way of Jesse Perkins, Mr. Tiny Whoop, reaching out to children in Children's Hospital and extending RC and FPV to them, maybe bring them a bit of joy from their bedside. I've got a video on that, but if you're interested, you get custom stickers of all sorts. I think it's like $10 a month, but don't rely on that. I didn't look it up beforehand. So you get all sorts of different stickers, and a lot of them are, one-time stickers that you can't get elsewhere. And then you get the joy of being able to sponsor such an event. But when I received this month's deliveries, I was reminded about, whoops, over here, 10 million views. And I had no idea. So I jumped down to the analytics. Sure enough, YouTube is showing me 9.9 million views. I know in the scope of YouTube, that's tiny. In the scope of FPV, it's probably pretty small too. But it's kind of a big deal to me. And I wanted to share that with you because, well, even if you're not impressed by 10 million or you have any positive thoughts about it, I think when we get there, which I would predict comes in 2, maybe 3 weeks, that we'll have a giveaway to celebrate the 10 million views. Everybody loves that, right? So stay tuned for that. By the way, I've been on the live stream over at Infinity Loops a fair bit, and I don't think I say it quite enough, but that's a channel that, if you like micros, it's one you should definitely take a look at. If you're really interested in family-friendly content, the review videos that I've seen, which I think I've seen most of their review videos, and even their fun videos, I think will be fine. But the live streams get a little sporty or saucy, you might say, from time to time, so you might not want to participate in those sorts of things if saucy sort of live streams or discussion points are not your cup of tea. But I jump in and they don't bother me. A lot of the stuff I get educated on to a certain degree. But Infinity Loops, they have a nice micro channel, really good pilots. We don't see much of much, but OG and Heads over there, good fun people, good fun pilots, and they have stickers in the FPV Outreach. Also, I've gotten a lot of questions about the Evo 2.5. This one's fairly interesting. Review video will be coming pretty soon, probably mid-part of next week. I actually planned on having a different video out this week yet, but then it kind of occurred to me through a little bit of a sleepless night that I should provide some sort of update. It's been a little bit of slowdown with vacation and stuff like that. But the Evo 2.5, I think that was going to be pretty good fun. It's going to fit a niche, especially for people wanting to grow within FPV and you want to stay small still. Another point about the Evo is that's from Avant Quads, but Avant Quads kind of doesn't exist anymore. It's now Avion, I think is how you say it. I'll print it on screen. Avion RC. I don't have all the details, of course. Business is complicated. What I was told from Avant Quads, because many of you have been asking me about not being able to order. Yes, they had a payment problem, and they tried to resolve it for months. And then I think they had to wait for some reason to reestablish payment, and then they couldn't do it under the old business name. I don't know. It's beyond my understanding, but they're back at avionrc.com. So if you're looking for Avant Quads, which I'm a big fan of, I appreciate how they're built, how they're tuned, how they fly. They have mainly micros, at least the ones I'm familiar with, so 3.5-inch prop and smaller. They haven't made any whoops yet. That would be interesting, though, if they were to produce a whoop. I think it's probably hard to get into that mold business, probably pretty expensive, especially if you are making a unique mold for a whoop. But so I wanted to make sure I mentioned that avantquads.com is kind of turned into Avion. I think I'm saying that right. Well, again, I'll put it on screen in case I'm not. If you're wanting to check out any of those Avant Quads I've had on the channel and you were looking to purchase but you haven't been able to recently. I hope to have an HDZero video out in the next week to 10 days. It's something that kind of slipped a little bit. So I want to put the new Race VTX in the ER349. This is a really old quad, but really fun and was actually really good value, but it's 20 by 20, and the new HDZero Race V3 is a 20 by 20, so I want to mount that up in there and, of course, attach an HDZero camera and fly this around in the backyard on 4S power. But that'll be coming, but also I did get the module, the Wi-Fi module for the analog. It's actually just for the goggles. And I'll put something together on that. If you have any questions about those sort of things, I know Ryan Quillett did a really nice video kind of explaining the Wi-Fi adapter and how you set it up, how you use it, the features and functions. But if you didn't see that, I'll link it down below. If you still have questions that you want specifically answered about a video that I would make, please let me know as well. I think the Race V3 is hard to get a hold of. When I've seen it listed on various websites, sold out. So if you're looking for one of those, you might have to wait a bit. But the Wi-Fi module adapter, which I have right here, looks just like the other one, but it's got a Wi-Fi chip in it. I have seen that available from a number of different websites. If you want to share HDZero or you don't have a secondary pair of goggles, I can tell you this is probably going to be the cheapest way to do it, because you can use VLC on anyone's cell phone and then set up the stream from the Wi-Fi adapter to their cell phone. It doesn't even have to be your cell phone. And then you can share your flights with them without having to hand them a secondary pair of goggles or anything like that. So if it's someone that maybe you just met and you don't have 100% faith that they're not going to swipe your goggles or they're not going to drop your goggles, maybe it's a young person and they've got a case on their phone. I don't use a case, but I think that's a good way. I think it's $29 to share HDZero and analog from the HDZero goggles. But that, again, that is only for the HDZero goggles. Don't get confused. They're not for older Fat Sharks or Sky Zones. This is HDZero specific. There were two videos that had the potential to be out here around this time. Unfortunately, there's an embargo on those. You might be able to guess the company. There's only a few companies that do that sort of thing. And the scheduled release of those has been postponed for... Well, I have no release date for you. So as far as those two other videos, maybe it's not even worth mentioning, and I should just cut this all out. But yeah, I don't know when those are coming. It could be more than a month. It could be next week. It could be tomorrow all of a sudden. I don't know. I only have one of the two videos ready, so if it's tomorrow on both of them, I'm in trouble. The Radiomaster Pocket Radio has been really popular. To my surprise, a lot of people are interested in the video. Actually, it's probably getting 2 to 3 times as many views as a typical radio review. I'm not sure why that is. Hopefully it's not because I did some sort of teaser thing or odd with the thumbnail, but if you haven't seen that, I'll link it down in the video description. I have gotten a number of questions. The short version is I'm not switching, and it's primarily because of 2 factors. The buttons, I have a really hard time landing as well as disarming real quick like I prefer to with buttons. My fingers just, they flick better than they press. You know, just a slower action. And the other thing is the gimbals. While these gimbals are pretty good and pretty smooth, and better than the Beta FPV Lite radios, they don't have the heavy centering on the sticks, and they're pretty smooth, and really probably better than a lot of what are oftentimes branded Hall sensor gimbals. I just think they're very, very smooth for a Hall sensor gimbal, but they're not as smooth as the HDZero ones. Those are the CNC all-metal gimbals from Radiomaster as well. As I said in that review video, I'll save you some bit of time. They didn't plan on releasing HDZero ones. Remember, I think those were like $130 for 2 gimbals and maybe like $89 for one. One gimbal for CNC, all aluminum, high precision HDZero Mini that would fit this is going to cost more than the radio itself. So I can understand that. But I do think this is a good radio, especially for people who maybe you just want a smaller radio for packing purposes. I did some durability testing, found the shell, at least, to be pretty robust. And look forward to Infinity Loops. Again, they will be doing a review on this, and they're going to do some, you might call it torture testing. I don't know exactly what Heads' plans are, but I do know that he mentioned on his live stream a few times that he wanted to test it in different ways than I have. So again, maybe a reason to go over to Infinity Loops and subscribe to that channel. But those are the 2 factors for me that stopped me from making the switch on this, is the HDZero One, or the lack of HDZero One gimbals, and the buttons. But otherwise, I shot Radiomaster a couple of ideas I had about Zorro V2 that might bring it more in line with this, and then maybe we don't see the Zorro 2, or we don't see the Pocket anymore. I'm not saying that's the case. You know, I have no idea what they're actually thinking. It was just my idea that I would shoot to them and see if they could evolve the Zorro into something that we that like the Zorro might like even more. And just the final thing, I have, oddly enough, seen a lot of people, maybe it's because we're starting to get to the edge of the summer, asking me about my favorite whoops. I still really like the 75mm format for whooping inside, but the 65mm Pro is very interesting to me as well. The Meteor 65 Pro from Beta FPV. I've got 2 built up here. just because you still have that small 65 millimeter format, but you can get 35 millimeter props on there. That makes a huge difference, in my opinion, and brings it more in line with the 75 millimeter, 40 millimeter propped whoops that I prefer. And the verdict's still out, but I think if you aren't stuck to a particular prop size because of your supplies or whatnot, and you're looking to make a whoop or to build a whoop, or I guess make and build's the same, or just buy a whoop, I would definitely look at the Meteor 65 Pro just because its footprint is pretty unique. We have not seen that from anyone else. So you get the bigger prop size. It doesn't have a terrible negative effect. I have run them on 0702 motors. I didn't care for that. I found that the efficiency on 0702 motors, at least the ones I was testing, just wasn't there for 35 millimeter props. Seems 0702 is better for the 31 millimeter props, the traditional 65 millimeter whoop. But that's a question that's also come up quite a bit, and I did want to throw that out there as a last little tidbit. So that's I guess a little channel update. I don't have no idea what I would make for a thumbnail or a title on this video. Hopefully I don't do anything misleading. That's always a concern of mine, is making a thumbnail or a title misleading, because I know that's maybe a good thing for YouTube clicking, but you know, this isn't my job. So if I get a few less clicks, it's not that big a deal, you know? I just want to make sure I'm not wasting anyone's time or angering someone or by misleading them. So hopefully I haven't done that on this video either. But a few items that'll be coming to the channel, and we can look forward to that giveaway when we get to those 10 million views. I actually, you know, YouTube's back end only shows me 9.9 million. I don't know how close to 9.9 million we are. It could be next week. Of course, the giveaway video will come after we hit that 10 million threshold. So, you know, if you're looking for me to launch it the moment it happens, that's not how it's going to work probably. But once we get there, you can just look forward to that, and we'll do another giveaway, which will be primarily quads, I think. All right. I asked a couple questions in there. Don't forget, you know, if you do have some input that you want to give me about the HDZero modules or whoops or something like that, feel free to leave them down below. Leave your own thoughts about some of the things that I may have discussed in this video for others who might come along and take the time to read those comments. Getting input from multiple people is always a good idea. That way you can get a better overall feel for the community and where the community's at if you're not quite certain of the direction in the choices that you're trying to make. Okay, so leave a comment down in the comment section. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.